This segment is sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You guys can call us right here in the studio at 615-737-7767 with any questions or comments you may have. So while we're waiting on those calls, I'll just kind of revert back over here to where we've been. Now, we've talked a little bit about where we'd be hunting, you know, kind of getting the deer out and this, that, and other. And you know, this is something guys are going to probably say, well, this is getting monotonous, but I don't care. We're going to hit it on it again real fast. You guys can muzzleloader hunt, okay?
Yep.
And it is 8 counties, I believe it is.
It's Shelby, Fayette, Hardeman, McNairy, Chester, Madison, Tipton, and Haywood.
Guys, girls, you have got to have your blaze orange on to hunt in those 8 counties.
Even if you hunt with a bow.
It does not matter if you're bow hunting. It's just like a regular muzzleloader season. Now there is landowner exemption, just like there is, you know, any time of year. I still don't suggest doing that. Most of my buddies that are landowners still wear their own.
I do too.
Because you know you can't trust that somebody else hadn't crossed that line or done something they're not supposed to do. But you have got to have it orange on, and you know, be careful. Make sure you get that meat deboned. There's several. You know, you mentioned Tim Rixey earlier. Now he is offering. I thought that was really neat what he posted the other night. That how he is going to offer to help folks get their deer legal and get them moved around, whether they're going to use his services or not.
That's right, and he does that. So, I mean, I went to his house yesterday. Of course, his taxidermy shop's at his house, and he was out there and he was just straightening up things, get ready. He said, "I'm really hoping I have a big weekend." I think he's going to.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be a big weekend. I mean, especially there. But, you know, with the use of muzzleloader, obviously they're going to have a little better weekend. Who do we have on one? Barbara, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Doing great. Thank you for calling.
I was just wondering how Mr. McNaughton was doing.
Well, he is doing a little better. And matter of fact, Anthony, you stopped and saw him today.
I try to stop by there every day when I'm coming up here to be on the show. And he's in good spirits. He went to the doctor today. His foot is healing good. But, you know, he's got to stay on these antibiotics. I mean, 3 rounds a day of IVs for, I guess, what, 4 more weeks?
Yeah, and he told me today that they're making him kind of sick. The antibiotics have made him pretty sick over the last little bit, and he's been laid up. So, but he is starting to do better.
Yeah,
well, we appreciate that.
He is still coming and doing he and I do a radio show, Southern Woods and Water Radio, every Monday night, and he did get to come to it, and he sat on the show with me last Monday night, and he's going to try to do that every Monday night as long as he can. He was a little dizzy after the show the other night, but I think it's because that's probably the most he had talked in a while. You know, on it.
No, what it was, I had to go to the emergency room at Vanderbilt, and my potassium got low. I'm an older lady. And I looked over, and the guy in the next room, you know, right close to me, and I said, "That's you, McNaughton. I watch your show every week. I know who he is." And he nodded and said, "Hello, ma'am." And if I could have got to him, I would have went over and talked to him and told him how much I enjoyed his show.
Well, I sure tell him.
He would have talked your ear off if you could have got to him.
I know. That's him.
Well, we certainly appreciate you calling, and we'll let him know.
Thanks for talking back at me.
Not a problem. You have a great night.
You too.
Yeah, I tell you, you know, he's been through the ringer the last few weeks, but he is doing better, and had loads and loads of messages and calls.
I think what hurt him too is when he told me, he said, "Man, they told me I'm going to miss all of bow season."
That's got him tore up.
That hurt him right there.
Oh yeah,
it does.
I mean, if you love to hunt like we hunt, you know, and like the way you during turkey season, wasn't it? I'm telling you, I know I got down in my back one year. I think it's in '98, and I couldn't hunt at all.
I mean, that's taking a piece of your life away when you live it like we do.
When you live all year for that, and then something happens right before it, and boom, you can't do it. It's depressing. I'm going to tell you.
It is.
I've been there.
Hopefully by muzzleloader season, be able to get him out there.
Yeah, that's what he's hoping. He told me he's hoping Michael Paul. He said, "You tell Michael Paul line me up some does. I need some does, but I want to come get them myself."
Yeah. Well, I think we'll be able to get him out here by the end, and he's in better spirits now. You know, he does. I talked to him today, and he's sounded pretty good.
Yeah, he did. He sure did.
Last few weeks. Who do we have on one? Benny, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Brandon. It's B down in Murray County.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I tuned in here. I hadn't seen him. Thanks for talking about him. I don't have internet or nothing. I'm an old country boy. Tell the boys about the ticks and the ticks on the deer now. I might have missed the first part of the show there. Y'all hadn't talked about the ticks.
Yeah, we hadn't made it that far yet, but you're right about that.
Yeah.
And they've been pretty rough this year, too.
Yeah.
And I called last time I called. I got cut off, and I wanted to tell you, little girl, congratulations on killing her first turkey. I like that film. That really made me laugh.
I appreciate that.
Like a rocket after that turkey.
She did. I couldn't get out of the blind quick enough. She made it down there to that turkey before I could ever get the stuff put back in the backpack. I had to get the camera back out so I could film her getting up there to him. But she's actually in the studio with us tonight, so she hears you right now, and I appreciate that very much.
Good going.
She
All
loves
right, guys, I'll get off this phone.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, bye-bye.
You know, the ticks art is something, what he said.
It is.
Because you and I both, we done had bad rounds.
We've been down that road.
I had, you know, I guess 3 or 4 times ago when I was on the show, the last 10 minutes, I was just, fever done hit me, and I mean, I was down for like 9 days.
I know it. Who do we have on too? Daniel, how are you doing tonight?
Fine, sir. And you?
Doing great. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Little comment, if you got time, about the Asian carp situation here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's really got bad. People that fish Kentucky Lake and anything in the Tennessee River need to be aware that these things are moving throughout the waterway. It's just a matter of time before they're in Guntersville, Chickamauga, and it's really going to be detrimental to the fishery in the Tennessee River. I wish the TWRA would be a little bit more proactive in trying to get a handle on this problem and maybe eradicate these things.
It has.
With the help of maybe some more states and the federal government. It's going to be a bad problem.
Pickwick is covered with them
I was starting to say there's other lakes that are starting to show up with them, and you mentioned Kentucky Lake, and the last time Hugh and I fished Kentucky Lake, you couldn't hardly fish for them. Fish for the carp jumping in the boat with you. Every time that we would throw a cast and hit the top of the water, carp would jump everywhere. The whole boat was covered in slime by the time we was done at the end of the day. And they're starting, they're locking through to these other lakes is what they're doing, and they're putting some sound devices and some other things on these dams that's supposed to help.
They're shocking them at the dams.
Yeah, and they're doing some shocking at the dams. I don't know if you happen to seen any of the videos that have been put out of them running those shockers at the dams, but it almost doesn't look real when they turn that shocker on and those things start coming out of the water. It's unbelievable. So I'm with you. I hope that they come up with more and more programs and more ways to get them under control, because it seems like they take a chunk from them and they just turn around and there's twice as many of them again.
This is the worst year at Pickwick for them right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as bad as it's now in Pickwick as it's been in Kentucky Lake.
Yeah. Yeah, it is rough, and so
it's going to go on down to Wilson Wheeler, and like you said, it's just going to go on.
Maybe because this past year they had a few tournaments, like bow fishing tournaments and stuff for them. I would like to see more of that go on. I'd like to see more of the commercial guys come in there getting after them. Now I know that a lot of them have been commercial fishing for them. They're using them for dog food and stuff like that, from what I heard. But I sure wish they'd get more of them out there doing it, because it's getting out of control.
Yes,
and it greatly affects the fishery.
I didn't know that was that bad. I talked to a friend of mine that lives in Cane Creek right down there at Danville, at the old railroad bridge.
Yeah.
And he said it was so bad in there, people are just moving away from there now.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. When we were down there fishing that tournament, I couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, the water, it just looked like the water was boiling around you, and it was just where them, and that particular morning we threw top water for a little while. You couldn't, I mean, when that thing hit the top of that water, they jumped everywhere. They just started going everywhere. Every time we started the big motor, 2 or 3 of them jump in the boat with you, and they'd get everything covered in slime. But I mean, they are way out of control. Yep. They really are. They really are. I really appreciate you calling. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Have a great night. Yeah, that is something that needs to be on the radar and on our agenda, and and just we got to keep talking about it, keep pushing that with those Asian carp, because they're going to be detrimental.
Yeah. And well, we had one of the fishery biologists on there on the radio show, and he said right now it only looks like that they spawned 1 year I can't remember if it was 2015, I think he said, something like that.
Done a lot of spawning, didn't
Sorry to say, they must have, because they sure are growing in numbers.
I know. But they think a lot of them come in through that, but because they said that's almost like you got to have perfect water conditions for them to spawn.
Yeah, that's why they want you to check your bait fish so much too, you know, because they're hard to tell apart.
Yes.
You know, from a little thread fin or something when they're little bitty, and but a lot of them I think come get in that way too.
And see, this year in Kentucky Lake was one of the biggest shad spawns it's been in years.
Yeah.
So you know, it's between them and then any of the small Asian carp in there. You know, some of them, it's a very easily misidentified. Yes.
And all it takes, you know, because he was talking about Gunnersville or places like that, all it takes is one guy, you know, to get a mess of those out of, say, Kentucky Lake, and a mess of shad, and a couple of them are Asian carp. He goes and fishes in Gunnersville, lets the rest of his bait loose at the end of the day. All of a sudden, there you go. And it happens that quick. It really does. And a lot of them, you know, I mentioned it earlier, but they're locking through.
Yeah.
You know, they're coming through the locks on these dams, and those sound devices do seem to be helping some, but it's not stopping them on. It's not going to.
No.
You know, you can't. So, all right, guys, let's go over and do this week's tip of the week. It's being sponsored by our good friends at Phoenix Custom Quality Rods. They're located in California, but they got rods all over the country now. You can give them a call at 562-924-5400 or go to phoenixrods.com. Get your hands on your very own. We've certainly loved ours. Randall, what you got for us tonight?
This special hunt this weekend is one of your best times to kill a big buck deer. They're relaxed right now, and this is what, the second year we've had this chance to do this. We've never had a chance to kill a deer in a good time like this. And one thing that I would watch for is don't scare him. If you don't scare a deer, if you don't scare him right now and you've been seeing him, you got a good chance tomorrow evening of popping him. You know, let him go on to bed in the morning. This is what I do early season. I hunt the rut, I'll hunt in the morning. But most of the time, if I'm hunting around the field or if I'm hunting farms or little pinch points between fields, I hunt in the evening. That way I can go in there. The deer are bedded down for the most part, and you can get up your tree, use your wind, and you got a good chance of getting you a good deer. So if you've been seeing one, that's what I would do.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, just don't scare him.
Yep, that's what I hit on earlier with that buck. That's why I'm not going after mine. But that's a great tip right there. Guys, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to have this week's recipe of the week for you. Mr. Tom Courtney's in the house, and he's got something smelling mighty good over here. We'll be back here in just a minute.
I'm ready.